Welcome everybody. I am just going to go ahead and add Annie into this chat here, into this live, so that we can chat with her about. She is such an amazing human being. And okay, I'm always so nervous every time I get on. I'm like, do I remember how to add people? Annie!
Hi!
How are you, honey?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm so great. Thank you so much for joining me today. I know getting on a live can be like nerve-wracking, and I have this like, oh, I'm looking at this now. I'm like, it's this horrible dry shampoo like day hair.
Stop. You look
Oh, but
great.
we're good to go. I'm like, it's so funny. Every time I get nervous, I feel like I have to pee 40,000 times. So I'm like upstairs, just like trying to like fix myself up really quick. And then I'm like, okay, I peed. Then I came downstairs and I like sat in my chair and I was like, no, I should pee one more time.
That's me. Nervous bladder. That's me.
Oh my goodness, I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm gonna apologize in advance. There's still construction going on next door. They're moving in by the end of the month. So I'm hoping that this is the last time that I have to deal with like a live or
Oh,
something with like loud music and sawing and everything. But I'm hoping you guys can't hear it. What I wanted to do is introduce you a little bit so everybody knows who you are, why they want to watch, and then get into more about your experience with me, with the program, all of the incredible things that you have continued to do over the last couple of years, and all
yay.
that stuff. Does that sound good?
Yes, yes.
Okay, awesome. So, if you have making it, I was like, I don't know how to speak today, and of course, I'm going on a live. If you have been making good money with nothing to show for it, then you absolutely have to watch this live. So, I am joined by one of our star students, Annie, who went from having little to no direction with her money, and in 3 short months, she was able to finally start living the life that she has always dreamed. So, after our program, she was able to increase her income from 50K to 120K a year. 50K to 120K a year. She paid off $20,000 in student loans in 3 years. She has now $120,000 invested in a $10,000 emergency fund. Her credit card is paid off every month, and she's actually making money on her rewards. There's been a complete transformation in her mindset, which I want to dive into more. And she has attracted so many positive things in her life since switching to a mindset of abundance. So Annie was actually a student of ours. How long ago was it, Annie? Like 3 or 4 years
ago.
ago? 3 years
Yeah, it was
ago.
October
I'm
2020. Long time ago.
so much, Kate, and that's why that was one of the reasons why I wanted to share your story with everyone because I'm like, hey, the things that I teach you guys, I don't want them to just change your life while you're with me for those 3 months. I want to teach you strategies and methodologies and tips and tricks so that even after you're not with me, you can continue to implement them into your life and continue to reap those positive changes and all of those rewards. And you have done exactly
Yes.
that. So I think that is so incredible. Before we chat with Annie, I just want to get into very quickly why our program, the Making Money Moves Method, is a life changer. And this is the program that Annie actually did with us back in October of 2020. I can't believe that. That's freaking
Been a
blowing my mind.
while.
Okay. Many financial experts advocate budgeting as the ultimate solution, okay? But it is not that simple. Money issues often stem from your money mindset, which we're going to talk a lot more about with Annie now, which includes your beliefs and your self-perception. So a budget is actually just an action, and what's missing in that is addressing the mindset that caused you to take the actions that were self-sabotaging in nature. So in our program, the Making Money Moves Method, we actually teach, the $1 million financial strategies, how to invest, what accounts to use, how to pay off your debt, all of that fun stuff. But we also teach the nitty gritty of the behind the scenes stuff, the mindset, the behavior, the psychology. So we take a holistic view of your personal finances, and from that, our students are able to not only change their financial situation, but they also experience reduced stress, better relationships, and higher goal achievement. So the Making Money Moves method is actually the methodology that I developed that helped me go from $40,000 in debt to a millionaire at 30 years old. It helped me pay off my student loans in 18 months. I saved my first 100K by 25. I paid for my wedding in cash. I bought my dream home. I finally felt financially stable enough for kids. I built a $500,000 net worth in my 20s and then grew that to become a millionaire at 30 years old. The Making Money Moves method has proven processes for securing raises, 8 modules with video lessons, spreadsheets, downloadables for effortless wealth building, homework for practical implementation, personalized coaching for 3 months, monthly mindset masterminds with a licensed therapist, a private community to ask questions and network with our other babes, strategies to build that fat bank account, and a step-by-step roadmap and methodology for you to be able to hit your dream life. So it's amazing. If you guys want to learn more about that, you can check out our link in bio under Work with Nicole, or you can email our support team, support@nobudgetbabe.com. This is what I said, Annie. I'm like, I don't know how to speak, so don't worry about being nervous on here. And then the last thing that I'm going to say is we are relaunching our highly successful free Ultimate Investing Masterclass. So I've actually gone back, I've re-recorded it, I have revamped it, I have added in new things like what are the best investments to make? Is now a good time to invest? What about crypto? How do you actually buy a stock? How do you not lose money? Like so many things. It's absolutely free. So if you guys have not taken that yet, go and grab your spot. It's only going to be available until the end of the month. Again, life-changing just in and of itself. Okay. So thank you for staying with me through all of that. Now, Annie, I want to talk about you. I love this because Annie, over the last 4 years, has been in communication with me. You know, she'll send me little DMs on Instagram and be like, Nicole, I just did this, and Nicole, I just did this, and I'm so freaking excited, and thank you so much, and blah, blah, blah. And I have loved watching this growth that Annie has had over the last 4 freaking years. So Annie, why don't you tell everyone a little bit more about yourself, who you are, where you're from, all that fun stuff.
So I'm Annie. I'm 32 now. I was much younger when we first met. I'm from New York, just outside of the city. I work with dogs. One thing that I like when I first started looking at Nicole's TikTok obsessively was I was like, do people like me take her program? Like, I'm just like a dog walker. And I got all in my head about it. And I used to get all in my head about it as much as I love my job. I love dogs more than anything. I'm a huge animal rescue advocate, blah, blah, blah. But I wasn't sure if I would fit the mold. Which ultimately, I'll never forget our first phone call. Yeah, when my credit card wasn't I hadn't set it up or something, and I'm like trying to make the little payment, and you're just sitting there so patiently as I'm like, I have to call the bank and deal with this now. Oh, so embarrassing, so embarrassing. But anyway, we got past that, and you were so nice about it. But yes, so I'm a nice little girl from New York, right? Not. I work in Greenwich, Connecticut, but I'm not like a Greenwich girl, even though I've worked there for so long. So
I love it. I love it. Okay. So tell me, so you said you were obsessively watching my TikToks. Is that where you ended up finding me originally? Tell us about how you found us, and then what made you, after finding me, what made you decide to finally apply for the program?
So I took the program October 2020, and I was watching your TikToks, I guess maybe the summer prior. Mm-hmm. And obviously, COVID was a fun time. And when everyone was at home, suddenly they didn't really need a dog walker. And I was working for a very successful company, and my job was becoming obsolete. And so I was really getting into a funk. And of course, everybody was on TikTok in 2020. We're all watching and we're all getting into it. And of course I was like, oh wow, this girl is really makes everything seem so easy and whatever. I need good vibes right now. And I'm not kidding. I watched every single one of your TikToks. I'm not saying.
So bad. Nobody please go back and watch the TikToks from 2020.
I see them.
I see them from my memories, and I'm like, I'm so embarrassed right now.
They sold me. I was like, I guess you talked a lot about a certain kind of person. You have to be in a certain mindset to take this program, and you have to be ready. And I admit I can be a little averse to change, but my life has changed a lot in the last few years. Yeah. Good changes. But I remember sitting there looking at your TikToks and seeing you're like, this is possible, and it's not rocket science. Mm-hmm. And I wish that they taught this stuff in school, and I was like, well, maybe she has a point. And you know what? And I literally had nothing to lose. I was starting to drown in debt. And I was like, what? Well, I was like, you need to do something for yourself. Something's got to give. And like, maybe this will be like a miracle. And when I tell you, I don't like buy stuff on like QVC. I'm not an impulsive person. I don't
Mhm.
buy into a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I watched everything that you were saying, and I was like, you know what? Just take the leap of faith. Maybe it'll work.
Yeah.
It seems like it worked for her, and she didn't have, a silver spoon in the mouth. So off you go. And I remember how nervous I was to submit my application because I was so afraid I was going to be rejected because, like, on paper, I was far from impressive. And but yeah, it was a big decision for me because at the time my credit card was I maxed out my credit card
Yeah.
paying to get into the program, and I was like, I please, 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 please do something, and it
Yeah.
did. It
Yeah.
did. It changed my life. It changed everything. So yeah, so TikTok had a very positive impact on me. I'm sure people would be like, TikTok ruined my life, but this is the best thing that ever happened to me, for sure, from TikTok. So,
I love that so much. I think it's so interesting. I mean, you bring up so many really great points. The first one is like, there's so much like weird stuff on TikTok, right? And it's like, you really have to be careful about who you're listening to. Like, I keep seeing these videos come up on my For You page, and it's like, become a millionaire in 2 years. You get 2% interest a day. And I'm like, it's just literally not how it fucking works. And like,
mm-hmm.
why are we telling people this? And it's just so frustrating. But so you have to be able to separate like what's real from what's fake and who's actually there trying to help you and who's actually genuine and who's not. And then from there, also like taking that leap of faith, getting into the mindset of, maybe I haven't been able to do this in the past, but it's not because I personally am not able. It's because there's a gap in my knowledge, right? There's not anything inherently wrong with me. And I think this is something that so many people struggle with, right? They think, well, no, like I am just bad with money. They have these limiting beliefs. They have these beliefs rooted in lack, where I'm bad with money. I will never get ahead with money. I will never pay off my debt. This is like the type of lifestyle that I will always live. Like who I am now is who I'm always going to be. They're in that fixed mindset about what's possible for them. And it becomes difficult because it's not that those people can't have success, but they won't have success because they don't give themselves the opportunity to.
Mm-hmm.
And I've read something really amazing this morning, and it was just so great. It was like, self-care, right? And something that I said in my stories earlier, true self-care and true self-love is not like face masks and bubble baths and that kind of thing. It is being able to have the discipline, right, to say no to staying the same and saying yes to change. Right. And there's so many of us will get stuck in bad jobs or bad relationships, and our brains will tell us that, staying the same, even though it's hurting us, the shit that we know, the devil is better and easier than what we don't know. Even if the possibilities are incredible, we're so scared of taking that leap. We're so scared of making that change. And so to see you go from like, okay, I'm stuck in this position, I'm struggling with my job, I'm struggling with my money, I don't really know what to do next, and being able to say, okay, I'm going to try this, right? And I would rather try something and see if it can work for me versus just staying the same. Like that is incredible. And so many people won't get to that place. So many people won't admit to themselves that there's a gap of what they need to know. And I think it's so cool too, because everybody talks about like generational wealth, right? Generational wealth. Okay, well, these people had an upper hand because they had, handouts from their parents and blah, blah. Yes, very valid. But what I think a lot of people miss is this generational knowledge, right? Of people who understand investing and understand the right ways to use credit cards and understand how to set effective goals and that kind of thing, and understand how to build that like positive mindset, that abundance mindset, and how they're passing that along to their children. Whereas, I'll get these comments on my TikToks and people will be like, everyone knows this. Everyone knows this. Like, no, everyone doesn't fucking know this. Just because you in your little bubble were taught about that. I mean, that's amazing for you, but you have to recognize your privilege, and you have to recognize that not everybody grew up that way. If we're not taught in school and our parents didn't know, then we don't know, right? You don't know. You don't know. You can't go out. And that's why like people will be like, well, I'm just going to look for this information online. And 100% you can't. Everything is available online. You can learn how to code online. You can learn how to become a carpenter online. You can learn how to cut hair online, whatever the fuck you want to do. However, when there's an abundance of information and there are so many gross people, right? You don't really know who to listen to. There's so much conflicting information. There's so much shameful information, like all of that Dave Ramsey shit. I saw this call with him. I'm going off track now, but I saw this call with him the other day where he was like talking shit to somebody because they had $25,000 a year in childcare costs. And I'm like, that's just what it costs, Dave. It's not 1950. Like, that's just what it costs. Like, can you live in the here and now? So to be able to wade through all of the bullshit, right? And really try to figure out what it is that you need. You don't know what you don't know. It is so hard to piece it together on your own. And it's just, I don't know. Anyways, I think it's just such a beautiful thing that you were able to go from that scarcity mindset, that lack mindset, that feeling stuck to saying, no, there's a gap in my knowledge. I'm point A. I want to be at point B. Where's the bridge? Right. And then being able to come into our program and allow us to bridge those 2 points for you. So I think that that was kudos to you, because again, a lot of people will not get to that point where they recognize that something needs to change and then actually take the action to go and do it. Like, you are amazing.
Thank you.
Okay, what is my next question? So you talked a little bit about where you were before entering the program. Can you talk a little bit more about kind of your financial situation before coming in? So you said your job was kind of becoming obsolete. It was COVID, you know, it was difficult to gain employment because there were so many layoffs and stuff happening at the time. You were in credit card debt. What else was going on for you?
Well, I had to move back in with my parents. Like, shit hit the fan. There was no money. My bank account was overdrafting every day, and I was sitting in my bedroom shaking and crying. I was on the brink of, like, I was having suicidal thoughts. I was like, there is no way out. And I was in such a dark place. And I was so scared. I mean, that's just an awful feeling. You see that, you know, the negative number, and then they have all those fees they put on top, and you're just punished. And I wasn't spending any money on like going out and getting coffee. It was just like recurring bills. I was so scared. I was so scared. And I was, you know, everybody around me that, you know, it was in this field was like, yeah, we're all screwed. And, you know, what are you really going to do? You know, I'm trying to think if by that time they had put the pause on student loans. I think they may have. I was trying to, yeah, I was trying to do anything that I could just to like keep my head above water. And it's a very scary thing when you don't have a guaranteed paycheck. You're not a salary employee. I don't have benefits. I had nothing. I had my loving parents who said, yes, you can come home. You know, everything, you've basically lost everything. And on top of everything else, you know, all of my recurring bills, I do a lot of hospice fostering and adopting old dogs. People give up their old dogs, and I give them a place to live until their time comes. So I just maybe like 3 months prior adopted this 15-year-old beagle named Banjo. Banjo came replete with tens of thousands of dollars in vet bills. And I didn't really see how bad things were going to get. Like, over the summer, it was slow, but it wasn't terrible. And then things just took a nosedive. And I've got this sick animal next to me, and I'm like, it's like my child. Like, you know, so anything that could go wrong did go wrong in terms of my finances. And I can't stress enough how terrifying that is. When I would have been homeless if it weren't for my parents. I would have been on the streets homeless. And it's so crazy. I mean, like, I remember seeing your stuff and being like, you just gave me hope. That is like, hope is such an incredible thing. And I talk about it all the time. I've talked about my whole life, the power of hope, and how that, you know, is like the foundation of so many like religions. It gives you some kind of peace. But so that's where I had $0 in savings. Investments, what was an investment? You know, nothing. So, I mean, I was just in the negative. I can't stress that enough. But I will never forget when I would see your TikTok pop up, and I would think, you know, maybe there is a way out. As far as it seems so far away, but I was also like, what do you have left to lose? And the answer is nothing, unless my parents kick me out, which is humiliating when you're in like your late 20s and you're like, yeah, so things didn't quite pan out, you know. But yeah, so my finances then, oh God, terrifying.
I'm so sorry that you went through all of that. And I think there's probably so many people that can relate to what you're saying, and just this feeling of fear where it's like, like these things just keep happening and you're like, what the fuck? Like every time you open your bank statement, you're like, why? Like literally, why is this happening right now? And you don't know what next step to take. And you get so stuck in a situation where you feel like everything's coming at you that you get so overwhelmed and it feels impossible to take that next step. It feels like, what do I even do next? Like there's so many things that I need and want to tackle, but I need like I literally just need someone like to tell me what to do. I totally get that feeling, and I'm so sorry that you went through that. And I cry on every single one of these. I cry on every single one of these. I cannot, but I love that you were able to like we're able to talk about that now, and we're able to kind of like move past it and say, okay, this fucking horrible shitty thing happened to me, but I was able to find my way out. And I think that's the biggest thing for anybody watching right now too, is like, there is hope, right? Where you are right now doesn't have to be where you're going. And you don't have to wait until, like, I know there's so many people, I can't remember what the study was, but there was a study essentially, saying that like this, the vast majority of people wait until there's like a really horrible financial problem for them to be like, okay, I need to make a change. So if you're watching this and you're like, okay, well, like it's like not so bad, but it's like getting bad, or like I'm feeling confused, but it's not like so overwhelming yet. Like, don't wait, right? We don't want to wait for it to be like, not that it's not possible to do, but give yourself that gift of learning now so that you don't have to go through this, right? And I think this is a really incredible message that we're able to share with people as well. So thank you so much for being so candid about that. When you came into the program, what were your goals, or were you kind of just like, I just want this fix? But did you have any like specific goals that you wanted to go through?
I wanted to be you. And I knew that that was a very, very, very large, faraway goal. And at the time, there was that, but, and we'll get into this, my brain was very different when I started the program. It was, I had very different values, different priorities, that ultimately led me to that financial demise. That didn't happen overnight. Mama had a spending problem. So at the time, I'll never forget when you were like, the first homework assignment, I think it might have been, you were like, describe your dream life. And I wanted that dream life out of the program. I was like, she says it's possible and therefore it is. And I'm going to change my mind about all of this. So talk about living in the glorious land of Delulu, which is where I reside full time.
Yes.
I'm not leaving. This is great. I like it here. But I was really bad then. And that glorious land led me to spending money I didn't have. But so yeah, at the time, you know, I thought, okay, well, I'd like to get out of crippling debt. And also, because I had never had a job that offered me any benefits, I didn't have any kind of retirement savings.
Yeah.
And it was starting to sink in. If I can survive 2020, at some point, I don't want to work. And fun fact about myself, and you and I are birds of a feather, I do not aspire to labor.
Yeah.
That's not my dream. And some people are like, I like my job. Sure, I like my job. Dogs are awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not bad. But like, I was sitting there, I'm like, there's a way out of this. And she says there is. And whatever I can do to just get out of where I am right now, and then hopefully get some building blocks to make things better in the future. But I will say, originally my dream was to live in like a $10 million mansion. And again, we'll talk about that, how that's not what I want anymore. But I gained so much in a very short period of time. Like from when I first started the program, I gained a ton and then was able to obviously parlay that into bigger things in the last 3 years. But yeah, different goals then. Thought I was needed to be a billionaire to be happy. Not true.
And I think that's so important too, because so that's something we talk about obviously a lot in the program. And I'm sorry, I keep looking at my hair this whole time and I'm like, this is so gross. Why do I look like this?
You look great.
When I see all of this like manifestation content online, and I think that it's so dangerous because, you know, I saw this video the other day that was like, you know, I never tell myself I can't afford anything. Like I buy the things that I want when I want them and blah, blah, blah. And like, hey, so I agree with like part of that sentence, right? I agree with, I never tell myself I can't afford something. If I'm going to say something like that, I use like the power of yet. So I can't afford that dot, dot, dot yet, right? Add dot, dot, dot yet onto the end of every one of your self-deprecating sentences, and you will start to change your mindset, right? Because I do believe you can have anything you want in life with the right timeline, mindset, energy, and grit. But I think also a lot of us, we're in this like woo phase of it, right? We'll watch these videos and I'll see these videos go like super viral, and it's like, you know, how to get any man to love you, how to manifest $1 million, and blah blah blah. And it's just like there is like psychology, behavior behind manifestation that I agree with 100%, right? We have to be in that growth mindset. We have to be in that abundance mindset. We have to believe something is possible for us to be able to take actions in alignment with those thoughts. But you have to marry the woo with the do. You cannot just like be like, live in the state of Delulu where it's like, yeah, I can have anything I want. And instead of asking yourself how I can have that, I just go and I do it without any thought about, you know, opportunity costs or trade-off costs or any of those kinds of things. So I think that's really what we try to do in the program, is give you that baseline, that solid foundation for your mindset to help you get into that growth mindset that has been studied and proven to be prime for success. And then from there, show you how to implement the tactic that's going to go alongside that and really help you move through each one of those parts. So I love that you had so many goals. And it's interesting too, because we were very similar in the sense that when I first started working towards my financial goals, I always thought that I wanted like a G-Wagon and a pair of Louboutins. Like that was my symbol of success. Once I can have a G-Wagon and a pair of Louboutins, and I will have everything. And it's so funny now because it's like, you know, I'm wearing like Uggs that I got from Costco, like I give zero fucks. Like I drive a Kia, I give zero fucks. Like, will I get, I have been looking, like I'm interested in getting a bigger vehicle because I feel like I just need more space with the kids and all their shit. And will I get a nicer one? Potentially. But I'm really weighing the cost of like, you know, how much more enjoyment, how much more fulfillment, how much more satisfaction am I going to get from buying this more expensive thing? And is the trade-off commensurate with the amount of life energy that I have to expend to get that? Because let's say you're working for your money, right? Every hour that you work for is a representation of an hour of your life. So time is finite. We can never get more time. So if we can't get more time, we need to respect that exchange. We need to respect the exchange of, hey, I am trading an hour of my life that I will never get back for this thing. Am I getting something out of this that is worth an hour of my literal life? Like we only get 700,000 hours in this lifetime if we're lucky. And we are giving those away on shit that we don't need. We're self-sabotaging. We're getting in our own way. We think we are buying ourselves happiness. But in a lot of cases, we're actually buying ourselves sadness, right? We're going out and we're saying, okay, you know, I felt like shit last night. I couldn't sleep because I'm so sad because I really want to buy a house, or I really want to get out of this credit card debt, or I really want to travel more. And then you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, I feel like shit about this, right? And now I feel like shit, so I'm going to go buy something. I'm going to go buy something so I can feel better. I'm going to do self-care. I'm going to buy myself a new pair of shoes. I'm going to go to the spa. I'm going to whatever. And then you get home and you're like, oh my God, my fucking credit card debt's so much higher now because I didn't have the money for that shit. And then you go to bed and you're stressed and you're like, I don't have the things that I actually want in life. And it becomes this vicious cycle of you quite literally causing your own sadness, saying that you're buying happiness. And this is my fucking Roman Empire. I'm watching the comments come in. This is my Roman Empire. We are buying sadness. We like what? You are working to be sad. That's so fucked up when you actually change your mindset about it that way. And I think this is, again, what the program really tries to do and show you what's important to you. So again, like I said, my goals before were G-Wagon and Louboutins. Now my goals are freedom, family. Like when I'm working my corporate job and I'm like, I have to book a doctor's appointment. And I'm like, when can I book a doctor's appointment? I'm not allowed. The doctor is open when I have to work only. How can I do this? And then I'm thinking like, the fuck do I do when I have kids? And I'm starting to think like, you know, am I ever going to be able to do this or do this? And like all of these things. And I wanted that freedom. I didn't want anybody to be able to tell me what to do. And I realized by going through, you know, the stuff that I teach in the program, what my real values are, and then better align my values and my spending to those goals. And now that's when like saving money got to be effortless, because it was like, I actually don't really want that. Like I thought I wanted that thing before, but I actually don't really truly want it, and I'm fine without it, and I'd rather have that go towards something that like really 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 lights my fire. And like we'll get into these situations where again we're thinking that we're buying ourselves this happiness and we're putting all these things on our credit card, we're doing whatever, and then like, you know, it's our best friend's wedding and it's a destination wedding and we can't afford to go, or then it's, you know, this party and we can't, like whatever it is, it's all of these situations that come up that we then don't have the money for, then we don't get the emotional satisfaction then of like being a part of, because we thought we were buying ourselves. I don't know. I'm going on and on about this now. But anyways, this is my Roman Empire. I cannot stop thinking about it. It fucking freaks me out. Tell us, and everyone's been commenting about this, tell us what you are able to accomplish. Tell us about the 50K to 120K a year. Tell us about the 120K in investments. Like, let's fricking go.
So that it took time.
Of
I
course.
only hit six figures this year, and what
Hold on.
I
Give yourself some fucking like congratulations, like some,
thank
you know,
you,
where it's due.
thank you.
Girl, you
No,
have worked so hard to get here. You have done the work. You've shown up for yourself. You've done your work. I only hit six figures after 4 years. That's fucking incredible. That is amazing. Give yourself the credit.
thank you, thank you. It's hard when you work in Greenwich, Connecticut, and you live in Westchester County. Everyone's making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and it's so easy to feel less than when you're like, I only make 120. But so like I said, it took time. And as much as once I got into the program and I started to really latch on to the mindset of abundance and also really understand what actually mattered, I have Louboutins in my closet. I have Prada. I have all of it. And I didn't buy it in the last 3 years. I bought it before. Um, on a $50,000 income. That doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. I lived in debt. I was always, oh, I'll buy it and it'll make me happy and then I'll pay off my credit card. I always had a balance. So anyway, so, you know, in taking the program and starting to change my mind and realizing that all of that material stuff did not make me happy, that was a revelation to me. I was like, wow, I have all this stuff and yet I'm sitting here on my bed ready to die because things aren't going well. Clearly it's not working. Um, so I, like the biggest thing that I gained, yes, I'm so proud of my investments. I'm so proud of them because I thought I'd have to work 10 years to have $120,000 in investments. I never thought that it would happen in such a short period of time. And a lot of it happened since the income jump. And the biggest thing for me was stepping out of my own way. And I was always telling myself, yes, I love my job and this is good. And I'm not like, I don't like stress. I'm very averse to stress and change. And I kept myself in a job that had zero room for growth. I would ask my boss, who loved me, you know, can I do this? Can I do that? This would allow me to make more money. I could work less hours. And she would just say, no, no, no. She is not into an abundance mindset. She's very fearful. And so that was how she ran her company. And whatever, you know, I chose to work for her. And I, even, you know, during the program and in the years that followed, I think you were probably one of my biggest cheerleaders. And I saw the way you were always like, it is possible. And you post all these things like, it is possible, it is possible. And one day I was at work. Long story short, I was told I was going to have to work an additional 7 hours for $23. 7 hours for $23. And I snapped. And I said to myself, that is it. I'm done. I'm so done with, you know, all of this. And I was like, I'm starting my own company. I'm doing this. And I had always said, I'm never going to run my own company. I'm never going to be a small business owner. I can't deal with people. I can't deal with stress and all this stuff. And I had just been looking at your stuff like that day. And that was last I guess I decided to do it maybe last March. That was when I got that's when I had I hit the breaking point where I was like, enough of this shit. It's time for something to change. Nothing's going to change if you don't change, Annie. So wake up. And I, the biggest thing for me was learning how to believe in myself. And my company took off. The way I would describe it is like I got into a car that didn't have brakes and I went down a mountain, and it's been incredible, just like how things have been moving. If you told me that I was going to be able to do that and save money and all of this stuff and hire people and help people out of terrible, help them when they're having a shitty time with money, if you told me that in 2020, I would have been like, girl, you high. That's not gonna happen. I'm lazy, all this stuff. But so that was like the biggest thing for me, was just learning to one, accept that change doesn't hurt, believe in yourself, take a leap of faith, and having like discipline, realizing, hey, certain things aren't really working for me. Like at one point when you met me, I had some DSLs on me because I was big on the lip filler. I was big on everything filler. I still get my fillers. I still get my Botox. Why? Because that stuff actually makes me happy.
Yeah.
But I'm wearing like normal clothes. Like I don't worry about a lot of material things anymore. And that was the best thing for me to realize what really mattered. And I learned I don't need to live in a house in the Hamptons to be happy. I would be happy with something so modest. And I live in like a nice luxury apartment building now. I never thought that would happen. I used to walk into those buildings to walk people's dogs or stay with their dogs when they went away and say, oh, wow, it must be so nice. I could never imagine, and it was always, that's not for me. That's not going to happen for me. And I remember being in your program and realizing, I don't think I've ever truly thought about the future. I latched onto shitty guys for money, thinking, oh, well, he's going to buy me my way out of this. A man is not a plan. I remember you saying that, and I was like, that is a knife to the heart, right through me. I'm like, oh, that is tough. And surely enough, you weren't lying. So we got past that. But I'm rambling. But I got so much in terms of, obviously, there's like the financial literacy, and realizing that it's actually not hard. None of this is hard. It's not rocket science. I run a dog walking company, and I'm sitting here investing. I'm, technically a blue collar worker. Yes, I went to college and blah, blah, blah. But like realizing that like it's possible, and it's not hard, and it doesn't have to be stressful, and it gets to be easier. I can't tell you how easy things have gotten. Yeah, okay, work can be stressful. I did take on being a small business owner. Yes, that can be stressful. But like everything else have just gotten better because my mind changed.
Yes.
And that is invaluable. You can't put a price on that. Yeah. Learning what really matters, and that your happiness is attainable. That was crazy. So sorry, I was like 2 minutes.
No, I love that. That is incredible. And I loved hearing all that. I think it's so important for people to hear those things and to understand, like, no, a man is not a financial plan. Like I grew up witnessing like a lot of stuff. Won't get into it right now because I don't want to cry again on this live, but seeing some really bad shit. And it's like, and maybe it's the trauma in me, okay, where I'm like, no, I need to make sure that I'm taken care of, and I need to make sure that I'm the one that takes care of myself. Been taking care of myself since I was like 16 years old, right? I've been working since I was 12, because I was like, I need to be the one. If I'm going to have something in my life, I need to be the one to do that. I cannot depend on somebody else to do that for me. I need to figure out how I'm going to get there and how I'm going to get that done. And relying on somebody else gives away so much of your power, especially in these romantic relationships. Like, 50% of marriages end in divorce, right? Men don't live as long as women do. And even like, I remember like my nun and my nunnu, they immigrated here from Malta, and like they came here with their family and blah, blah, blah. And he died very young at 59, and he did everything for my nana. Like he bought her bras, he shopped for her. She didn't even know how to drive, like any of that stuff. And then he passed away. And then it was like she kind of just gave up because she was like, I don't know how to live without you. Right. And it's like there's so many situations like that. There's so many, what happens if if you want to leave? I can't tell you how many people are in my DMs, how many women are in my DMs that they are stuck in a bad relationship. Okay, and my fucking heart breaks because they don't have the financial means necessary to get out. Like, always have your own bank account, always have your own retirement accounts, always have your own financial goals, and make sure that the person that you choose to marry or choose to spend your life with is somebody who's going to add to that. Like, I know I post about this a lot where I talk about, like, should you marry for love or should you marry for the life that you want? And when I say that you should be marrying for the life that you want, I'm not saying like go and be a gold digger. I'm saying pick somebody who has the same values as you, because the person you choose to marry is going to be the biggest financial decision of your entire life, and it can make or break things for you. If that person is not on the same page as you financially, you're going to have to work twice as hard to overcome every way that they are holding you back, the ways that they're putting you in debt, the ways that they are not helping you reach your shared financial goals. And you have to ask yourself if you're okay with that. We need to look at it for what it is. Are you okay living the rest of your life taking on the lion's share of everything while he just kind of sits back, right? And if you have somebody that's quote unquote taking care of you, what happens if they die? What happens if they leave you? Right? These things happen. And I think, it's interesting. Somebody in our group today said that she just got laid off, and she was like, how would a wealthy person look at this situation? And I was like, that's a really interesting question, because I think the difference between people who are wealthy and people that are maybe, trying to get there but are not there and feeling stuck, is that the people that are wealthy are always thinking, okay, like, what is the worst case possible scenario and how do I get out in front of it? They're future planning. They're saying, okay, I know that something bad is going to happen eventually, right? Because that's just life. Bad things are always going to happen to us. Life is always going to throw shit at us. So whether that's you lose your job, whether that's the stock market goes down, whether that, like, whatever, right? Something, your car breaks down, something is going to happen to you. The way that you come out ahead in life is by preparing for it, right? We're not going to know exactly what it is, but we can start to try to expect the unexpected in different ways. So that's why we teach things like, having an emergency fund, because there's going to be a point in your life where you have an emergency and you should have some fucking cash, a line of credit, a credit card. That's not an emergency fund, right? We need cash for that. You don't want to be like in an emergency and then be like, oh my God, I'm going into debt, like adding that on top of that. That is not what you fucking need, right? So have the emergency fund, right? Build out multiple streams of income so you are not just relying on one thing. Like for me with my investments, I'm living off of them now. And I don't have all of my money in one place. Because if the stock market goes down, right, I know eventually it's going to come back up. It's fine. However, I need to be able to ride that wave. So that's why I have money in Mix. That's why I have money in REITs. That's why I have money in GICs. That's why I have a larger emergency fund, because I need to make sure that it's not if the stock market goes down. The stock market will go down again. It goes down on average once every 2 years, right? That's normal. It's par for the course. The long term, it always goes up. I need to make sure that I have something available to ride that wave. If I did not prepare for it, then that would fuck me. If I did not prepare for losing a job, then that would fuck me. Like, if I did not prepare for my car breaking down, because the car's going to break down. Like, that's just what happens, right? These things happen. We have to prepare and know that it's going to happen, and then do our best to come out ahead of it. So I think, and that's what you're doing now. That's exactly what you're doing. You're creating those other streams of income. You are in charge of your own income now. You are investing, you are diversifying, you have the emergency fund, like you're doing all of the things. You are putting yourself in that position. You're thinking, what's the worst case possible scenario? What can I do today to put myself in the best position to handle that when it comes? That's the difference.
Yes, yes. And what a difference it is when, I mean, things have happened.
Mhm.
Things that required money have absolutely happened. And what a strange feeling it is to say, well, I'm really not worried about it.
Right.
It's actually
Right.
fine.
Right.
Okay, yeah, that cost $10,000. That's
Yeah.
okay. And ask me that 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I would have had a nervous breakdown.
Yeah. Like,
Unless it was a $10,000 bag, that's no problem. But if it was some kind of real problem, need a new transmission, whatever thing, I would
exactly.
be beside myself. And that's one thing. I mean, I've always been into gratitude, but I'm so grateful for that every day. I'm like, I'm ready for whatever. I was able to attract a healthy relationship because of my mindset
I love that.
change. And that was huge. I did not know what that was. But I think to myself, great, Richard's awesome. He happens to make tons of money, but even if Richard left me tomorrow, I'd be fine. And
Yeah,
that's such for
exactly.
me, that was a big change to be like, I can actually stand up on my own 2 feet and still
Yes.
keep saving money, and things are going to be just fine. I mean, I wish that for everybody to be able to get themselves into a position where you're like, well, I'm ready for whatever it is.
Yes.
That is one thing that I can't say how grateful I am to be like, well, if the world comes to a screeching halt at the current moment, I have, $120,000 that God forbid I could pull on. No, I'm going to do
Yeah.
that. I won't touch my investments and put a gun to my head. But, it's so liberating. I can't say that enough. Learning, the emergency fund and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, game changer to be ready for, because life will happen. It is going to happen.
And learning these things is like, yes, okay, you're going to be able to, buy more things if you want to, or have that, whatever, right? You can have that lifestyle. If you want that rich lifestyle, of course, you can have whatever you want. You can work towards whatever you want. But the biggest things I think that you get from this are safety, security, and freedom,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that is just like the baseline, in my opinion, for a happy life. Like when I was 25, I went through this like quarter life crisis where I'm like, who am I? Why am I here? What is the point of anything? I'm like, go on, I'm working this corporate job. Like, why? Like, I don't, like, I'm not happy here. Like, is this what it's just going to be forever? Like, you work so hard to go to school, and then you think that you get to the job and that everything's going to change, and then it doesn't. So I started studying a lot of like philosophy and psychology and that kind of thing, and just asking, like, why? Like, what's the purpose? Like, and through all of my reading, I think what I found is that just the purpose of life is being happy. And what's the baseline to your happiness? Is it really a bunch of things? And again, this is not to demonize shopping. I love to shop and I love to spend money. I will spend extravagantly on the things that I love. I have no problem with that, right? Like I just booked a vacation, going on a very expensive vacation. I had no issue with that, right? I'm happy to, I negotiated, I did all the things, right? I saved the money, but I was happy to do that because I aligned with my values and my goals, and because I already had that safety, security, and that freedom to be able to do that. I felt safe in my money. I felt secure with my financial situation, and I have the freedom to be able to go and do that because I did this stuff now. So if you're looking at your situation and you're like, well, I feel like it's going to be hard to change, and I feel like I'm nervous, and I feel like it's going to be a lot of work. I mean, it doesn't have to be a lot of work. Again, like Annie said, it is actually very simple once you have it all laid out for you. You just have to really understand, like, you already know to pay off your debt, but like, why aren't you paying off your debt? Right? We're going to teach you the best strategies to paying it off,
Mm-hmm.
but you already know that you're like, should pay off your debt. It's like, why are you not? What's
Mm-hmm.
going on behind the scenes that is causing you to not take those actions? And so you have to ask yourself, am I going to do the hard thing now to have the easy life later? Or am I going to do the, staying in my comfort zone thing now, the easier thing now to have a harder life, right? You're going to struggle for the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years because we're not doing the thing now to bridge that gap from where we want to be and where we are.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So,
Bridging
Andy,
that
tell us
gap. Oh.
more about what goals are you pursuing next? What is next up for Annie, the frickin' business owner?
Well, like I said, being a business owner was not something that I ever envisioned for myself. But I realized working for somebody else, there's a plateau. And I had reached, for my area, unless I wanted to work 12 hours a day, I had reached, as far as I was going to go. And so starting my own business was not a decision that I took lightly, but it came out of a rage when I was like, not being paid fairly. But sometimes anger is an incredible motivator. So, make good use of that anger. But now I've been very averse to stress my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And I have gone to great lengths to avoid stress. Running a business where you have access to people's homes. I have their keys. I have their garage codes. I have their alarm codes. Somebody's giving you a lot of
Yep.
trust. Stress management is a big goal for me now. Yes, I want to make more money, and I'm grateful for every dollar that comes to my business, and I've been very, very, very fortunate to just attract a certain kind of client. And I was very particular with what I wanted, and I said a lot of these things out loud, like, what do I want? And it's, well, I want to work as little as possible for as much money as possible, and then took it from there. So so obviously stress management, that's a new one for me. And I I don't have a set dollar amount that I put away every month. I look at, you know, what the company brings in, what my staff is getting paid, and the biggest thing that I knew I had to do was pay my staff generously. If you want to get people who are quality, you have to pay. And so my profit margins aren't huge, and that's just the nature of the beast. But there's a reason why I'm like, I don't have any turnover, because they're happy. I take great pride in that. So yes, you know, we're sitting at, you know, $120,000 in investments right now. I'd like to see that go up to $200,000. You know, if I tell myself every day, the sky is the limit with this kind of business. The pet care industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. There is no shortage of people who have dogs who will trust my company. And I guess one of the best compliments I got was, you know, yes, I've had dog walkers before, but you are like one of the most professional dog people I've ever met. I was like, thank you so much. And like, and you present really well. And a lot of people are like, I'm surprised that you do this for work. And I'm like, could do anything. I mean, really, I will never forget when I was taking the program, one of the girls was on OF, and I was so jealous because she had so much money. Not jealous, not jealous. I felt less than. And I genuinely thought, I'm like, I think that's the only way. Like at one point, I'm like, maybe that's the only way. And that was an interesting, I didn't pursue it, but it did cross my mind. But now I sit here, I'm like, I probably don't make as much as she does, but you know what? I'm making something, and I'm doing something that I'm really proud of, that I really believe in. So, I mean, yes, I want those investments to grow as fast as humanly possible. Why? So then I can sell my company. I'm already thinking about selling my company. It has been alive for like 8 months, but the thing is already becoming such a large number that will be valuable to somebody that I'm like, you know, I want to retire in the next, you know, like 15 years. I'm 32 now. And whenever I tell people that, they're like, people, that makes people nuts. They do not like that. And I'm like, well, all I want to do is, you know, start a little dog rescue in the South, and which costs money, but, you know, it's ultimately what would make me happy, being around filthy animals. But so, yeah, I mean, long-term goals, retire ASAP. ASAP. As soon as, and that's my, everything that I do every day fuels that goal. It goes towards that goal. And when I go to the grocery store, I'm not like thinking about like, oh, buying avocados, is that going to ruin my retirement? No, it's not. But like, you know, just being more mindful. And like I said, once I realized what really mattered, my spending plummeted. Do I enjoy Starbucks? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And I treat myself to those little things that I'm like, a moment of peace. But learning that I don't need to like buy a new dress for like every occasion, very liberating. I'm like, the people didn't invite me because they wanted to see me in new clothes. They invited me because they like me. So I can show up wearing the same thing, you know, whatever. No one's going to die.
And no one's even going to notice, to be completely honest. It's so interesting. There's I can't remember what it's called right now, but this psychological phenomenon where essentially, you know, we'll buy something. A lot of us won't say this out loud, but we'll buy things to impress other people, right? We buy the expensive car because we want people to see us as successful or whatever. We buy the nice dress because we want to be seen as sexy. But when you have something nice and somebody else sees it, they're not thinking, oh my God, Annie has the nicest dress. They're thinking, how hot would I look in that dress? Or how cool would I look in that car? They are not thinking, even if you have the nice shit, they're not even thinking about you. They're just thinking about how cool they would be with that same thing. So you're spending money to impress other people. And again, a lot of people are not going to admit this to themselves as to the reason why they do it. But this is the, you know, the driving force behind a lot of purchases. You're spending money to impress a lot of people, but they're not even thinking about you. They're not even thinking about you. Like I keep
Yes.
seeing videos of the Sephora girls, and there was this
Ah,
mom that posted a video of made me really sad actually. So she bought her daughter this like cup, and it was like a knockoff like Stanley cup.
yes, no,
So she's 9 and she loved it. She did you see the video? She
I
brought it to
did.
school. And then all the girls are making fun of her. Well, that's not cool. You're not cool. It's not a real Stanley cup. And it's like, can we stop teaching our children that their worth as an individual is tied to the things that they own? Can we stop teaching our children that your wealth is tied to the things that you own? Because I didn't become a millionaire by spending all my money. That
Yeah, that whole Stanley thing killed me. When
that made
I
me
was
so
in
sad.
when I was in sixth grade, everyone was getting these Kate Spade bags.
Mhm,
And I didn't come from some rich family. Yes, we lived in a nice town, but we lived in like the shitty house in the nice town so
mhm,
that we could go to my siblings and I could go to good
mhm,
school. And everyone was going around getting a Kate Spade. We're 12. These are 12-year-olds, okay?
mhm.
My mom was like, we're going to go to Chinatown. We'll get you a fake one. And I came to school and I was all excited because I had a Kate Spade like everybody else. Well, no, I didn't. The girls walk up to me and they're like, oh, your bag looks different. I'm like, I just got it. Not even knowing the real difference
Yeah.
between real and fake, at the ripe age of 12. And one girl took her fingernail and started digging at the label until it came off. She goes, Annie's got a fake Kate Spade. And everyone was chanting it. And
Oh,
those memories, I realized through the program, I was spending and getting all this extravagant stuff because I truly believed if I look like I have money and I look the part and all my cosmetic procedures that I did, people will be nice to me. I was the 12-year-old Annie was still hurting. And that was actually what was driving everything,
yeah.
which is so crazy when you actually realize, when you put that together, you're like, wait, this isn't me. This is a 12-year-old that is steering this ship. And I had to really sit in the mirror and be like, Annie, you have all those nice things. Have people been necessarily nicer to you? And I'm like, not really.
Mhm.
So I guess it didn't work. I guess the 12-year-old that's been controlling your finances wasn't the best financial advisor you could have asked for. So we're going to move on to a more adult approach. But yeah, that stuff, I mean, growing up in Westchester County, the labels, it's
Mhm.
insane. And my mom just wouldn't have it. She's like, you're 12, case closed,
Mhm.
which is normal. I wish we would stop telling kids that. And it was so toxic to me. It did so much damage that I didn't realize until I was closing in on 30 years old. But better late than never. Uh,
I think so many people can relate to that though, and even if they're not recognizing it right now, and that's why we do those journal prompts and we have the mindset masterminds and everything with our licensed therapists, because again, like I said, we're going to teach you how to invest, we're going to teach you the best accounts to use, all that stuff. But it's like, why are you doing the things that you are doing that are not giving you the life that you want? You're actively getting in your own way. Why are we doing that? And I was the same way, right? I relate to your story a lot. It was I had the two stripe Adidas pants instead of the instead of the
yes.
actual, and all those things, and shopping at Byway and all those things. And it's fine. You know what? I grew up. We didn't have a lot of money. My dad was very sick. He didn't work for a very long time. My mom was out of the workforce. Like she took care of us. Like she stayed home with my sister and I. Were 5 years apart, so she was off work for basically like 10 years. And by the time she went back from like 1990 until 2000, well, like the internet was born, and she used to work as a secretary, and she had a fucking typewriter, and that's not a thing anymore. And so, she went back to work, and she could get a job as like a part-time school bus driver, or like, cafeteria worker part-time or something like that. And my dad wasn't working, so she's not making a lot of money. So we didn't have a lot of money. And growing up with that scarcity, it changes your brain, right? In
Mm-hmm.
ways that you are not even realizing right now. And it makes you scared to take risks. It makes you very risk averse. It can make you very scared to invest in the stock market. You're more prone to, keeping your money under your mattress because you're like, oh my God, I can't lose a single dollar of this. Or you're in this mindset of, well, if I don't spend it now, then I'll never get the chance to spend it because money is scarce. So every time you get money, it's like you're fucking allergic to it and you just have to get rid of it as fast as possible and spend it on something. And, even things like Like I was like the problem kid with all of my friends, right? Because my household upbringing was just a little bit different. That's why, I moved out at 16. There was a lot of abuse. There was a lot of things that happened. I dropped out of school at 16 to move out on my own, take care of myself, work full time. Um, and there was always this like perception with my friends' parents that I was like bad and that I was not worthy and that I would, all of these things. And it's like before that, I was honor roll and I did really well in school. I was French immersion and like, I did all these things, but it just got to a point where like the pain of my life was too much and I didn't know how to handle it. And I went to like drugs and alcohol and partying and all of the things to kind of like numb that. But then when I started to get my own money, I thought I have to show people I'm worthy. I have to show people that I'm successful. I have to show people that I am good. So I went through that like good girl syndrome thing where I didn't stand up for myself, where I didn't set
Mm-hmm.
boundaries with people. I went through I need to just buy really expensive things because I need people to see me as like somebody else, not like this poor broke girl that like dropped out of high school, but as like, I'm successful. I have a corporate job. I have a business degree now. Like, look at me. I'm like doing so good. And I realized that like all of these things were influencing my purchasing decisions and it was giving me this life that I was just creating to be viewed as a certain way from other people when they don't even fucking matter. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
else, the only person that matters, the only happiness that matters is yourself, right? And I think a lot of people forget that. And I think, there's probably so many people watching this right now or watching this on the replay where your goal for 2024 is like self-care and you really want to prioritize yourself. Learning how to control your finances or learning how to plan your finances or grow your wealth or those kind of things, like that is the highest form of self-care. Because although money is not everything, everything takes money. And money is going to be that baseline that allows you to hit those other goals in other areas of your life. You're not the first person to come through our program. Like it's very common for people to come through and be like, I'm having better relationships now. I am less stressed. I have lost weight. I stopped having to see my therapist. All of these things are like, wow, I didn't realize how the stress from my financial situation, even if I didn't acknowledge it, right? Even if, you're just like, I just keep it inside. Like your body keeps score. Your body keeps score, right? You got stomach issues. You got fucking migraines. You have anxiety. Like your body is keeping score. It's remembering all of that stuff. The highest form of self-care, guys. Get your financial shit in order, whether it's with me or free content, working with me, whatever it is. Do yourself, your future self will thank you. You're going to feel uncomfortable for a little bit, but that discomfort, right, is where the growth is going to happen. We're not going to see growth if we just stay in our comfort zone. And people will always ask me, Nicole, how are you always so motivated? How did you, become a millionaire at 30? How did you then, grow a 7-figure business? How did you do all of this while like being pregnant and raising 2 kids and writing a book? And I'm not more motivated than you. I promise. It's just discipline. It is just a relentless pursuit of the life that I wish that I like that I want, right? I see, okay, I got one fucking life. I'm gonna live here one time. I'm gonna live one fucking time. Let's make this the life that I've always wanted. I didn't want to look back at 80 years old and be like, wish I would have, like, wish this could have been different. No, right? What's the worst case scenario? Worst case scenario is you are where you are right now. You try something different and you stay in the same spot. You're already there. You're already
Right.
there.
Right.
Oh my God, the heat's fucking blasting in my office, and I'm just sitting here like melting away. I'm just gonna answer a couple questions here quickly, honey, and then I saw ones and then I don't know where they went. Where do you fucking sign up? Tanya, I love that. Through our link in bio. I think it's the second link. Work with Nicole. Thank you, Monique. Do I take women in their mid 40s? Yes, 100%. We have women, I think our youngest was 19. And she came in, she fucking killed it. And we've had women in their 60s. We have also had men too. I get a lot of questions like, do you accept men? Obviously the primary audience, right, our primary core group of people that come in is women. However, we do accept men who are energetically the right fit, who we know that we can help with methodologies and the strategies that we teach, right? And that's another reason why, guys, we have the application process and we have the application calls. It's not because I want to deny you. It's because I want to make sure that you're, number one, going into the program that's going to be the best for your own personal financial situation. And then number two, that you're actually going to be able to see results, right? I want you to be somebody who's going to come in and be a fucking success story like Annie or like Sonia or like Heather, like all of these people that we feature in our lives. I want you to come through and have that massive success too. And for us to make sure that you can do that, we need to make sure that you are in the right spot right now. So like if you're like, okay, you know, this is my situation, XYZ, maybe there's a different program that's better. Maybe we're not the best fit for you right now. Right. And this is why, like, and if you ever get to a situation where you have been, you know, offered a different program or where we have kind of redirected you, it's not because we don't want you. I love you all. And I think you are all amazing. And we have grown such an incredible community here. It is because we want to make sure that we are doing what's in your best interest. It is in my best interest as a business owner to have people come through that have massive success. And it's in your best interest to come through and have massive success, right? So that's why we have this process in place so that you're able to come through and really do the things that you want to do. Would your program work for someone debt-free, good job, but doesn't know how to invest? We have different options for that. We have our income multiplier program, which Annie's actually going to be taking next with us. I'm so excited. It's kind of like our level 2. Making Money Moves is incredible. That's the one Annie took originally. It's our 3-month program. We teach you everything from, you know, growing your wealth, saving more, making more, managing your money without a budget, investing, all of that stuff. If you're like, hey, I already have a good savings, my credit is great, I don't have any debt, I have all this money just like sitting in an account, I don't know what to do with it, I want to create multiple streams of income, I'd love to retire early. We see a lot of people go into that program that are like in a stressful job, that they make good money, but they're in like a really stressful job where they're like, I can't do this forever. So that's where income multiplier could be a better fit. We also have self-study investing programs available. We have Millionaire Investor, self-study. We have a VIP option of that where you actually get Voxer access to me for 30 days as well. You can check that out on our website. If you guys have any questions, you can check out our website, but you can also email support@nobudgetbabe.com and they will be able to help you with that. Monique is asking, Annie, did you feel like you felt confused in the beginning when you started the, oh, where the fuck did it go? She said, did you feel confused in the beginning as compared to where you were at the end?
Yes. Yes, it was like, I don't know if you ever taken like a ballroom dancing class or any kind of weird class where you're doing something you don't know what you're doing. You're like, I'm just trying, and this is weird and uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. When I had to go through my bank statements and look at everything that I was spending and like categorize it, that took hours. I also realized something I already knew, I have a huge spending problem. And I was very, very confused at first. And like I said, the feelings of inadequacy, because I think everybody else in my little group was like, had like a better job. And I was kind of like, just like muddling along, and everyone's like, I'm having all of these wins. There were so many wins right away. And I was like, I'm still here. And I kind of felt like a loser. I was like, I can't, compare. Well, it's just, I just felt less than, because everyone else was knocking the ball out of the park. And I was like, but I was like, well, just stick with it. I've stuck with a million things that ultimately ended up being good for me. And I know this is good for me. There isn't one doubt in my mind. And as time went on, things started to sink in more and more. And by the end of the program, I didn't even realize it had really happened. I didn't really have a pot to piss in by the end of the program. I'm not going to say I had all this money at the end of 3 months. COVID was still alive and well. My job was still, but I made better choices. I made much better choices that were able to get me to a much better place. But yes, in the beginning, yeah, it was, I'm left-handed. I might as well have been trying to write with my right hand. It felt very weird. But by the end, I was like, oh my God, wait, I know something. And I can my dad's a financial advisor. I can talk to my dad about stuff. And when I told him what the program told me to do, how to grow my money in a very safe, foolproof way, he was like, yeah, that'll work. Yeah. Sounds like she's a nice girl that you hooked up with. And I'm like, could have told me this, but whatever. It's fine. So yeah, big change by the end. So stick with
I
it.
think that's a really important message though too, is like your journey is going to be so different than everyone else's, right? Depending on where you're coming from. You know, there will be students that come into the program and they're like, oh, like I work a teaching job, I can't negotiate my salary. Okay, great. So when you have a job like teaching where maybe you can't negotiate your salary the same way, however, we have had teachers that have worked on negotiations and stuff through our programs. And one, he lived in New York, he did very well, but you know, say they're saying they're unable to do that. Okay, great. Well, there's other benefits that come along with that job. So how do we maximize that and then shift your focus from like, let me go back. People get stuck in the weeds a little bit, right? Like if you're in the beginning of the program, you get stuck in the weeds where you're like, okay, I wanted to negotiate my interest rate with my credit card company. Chase is famous for this. Chase like hates to negotiate, right? And they'll be like, I have Chase. I'm like, oh, you have Chase. Like it's a thing. Like they're just kind of shitty with that. A lot of other credit card companies are very willing to work with you when you have the right scripts and you say the right things and blah, blah, blah. But Chase is just kind of notorious for being an asshole. So they're like, well, now like I feel defeated and I feel blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what was the goal? Was the goal to call Chase and reduce the interest rate, or was the goal to pay off your debt faster? The goal is to pay off your debt faster and to pay less money in interest. So how else can we achieve this goal, right? It's getting into that growth mindset. It's saying, okay, this didn't work. It's only a failure if I don't try again. It's only a failure if I don't learn something from this information and use it for my next strategy, right? And that's another big thing that we do in the program is like priming your brain to look for opportunities and challenges, right? I don't want you, and yes, I will give you the answers, and yes, I will hold your hand, but I also want to help you learn how to do this on your own because I'm not always going to be in your pocket, right? So you need to be able to be presented with a situation which would normally be like, oh, fuck, I can't believe this is happening. The world is ending, right? I used to I over catastrophize things, right? When something bad happens, it's like, oh my God, the whole world is ending. But then how do I take a step back and go, okay, in my feels, allow myself to feel the feeling, but then go, okay, how do I fix it? What are, and if you're stuck in a situation like that, something that I say is, we really want to start to prime your brain to look for opportunities instead of challenges. So you're stuck in a situation, you're in a challenge, go back to what the root is. What are you actually trying to achieve? You're not actually just trying to achieve a lower interest rate with your credit card. You're trying to achieve paying less money in interest and paying your debt off faster. So what else can we do? What other strategies can we try? Let's come up with 20 different things that we can do. And they can be the most stupid, inane things, okay? But I want you to get into the habit of looking for opportunity. Get your brain going, right? And we start going through all these different options, and then we can find one that works for your personal situation. So again, like you said, you're like going to a ballroom class and you've never done it before. It's like, yeah, I'm thinking me walking into Zumba and I don't know the routine and everybody else does. That's okay though, because everybody else is on a different journey than you. Everybody else is going to have a different set of circumstances that they're coming in with, right? And we don't want to compare ourselves to other people. We want to compare ourselves to who we were yesterday because your growth, number one, is none of their fucking business. And number two is going to be on your own timeline. You're building, and again, I'm going on to so many different things here, but this is why I hate budgets, right? Like budgets try to put people into a box. They tell you you save 10% of your income for retirement. You spend no more than 30% of your income on housing. They put you in a box. They tell you who you're supposed to be. We don't do that. I'm not telling you who you're supposed to be. You're coming in and you're figuring out who you want to be, and then I'm helping you build that roadmap to become the person you want to be, right? I've had clients that come through and they spend 50% of their income on housing, but they don't have kids, they don't plan to, they don't have cars, they live downtown, whatever. And the housing, the location is the most important thing to them. That's okay because they have figured out what their values are and they've amended their spending to be aligned with those values and those goals. Amazing. Does it make sense for somebody based in Portugal? Not necessarily, no. I would say so. The majority of our students are from Canada and the US, probably maybe about 70% US, which is interesting because I'm in Canada, but probably about 70% US, 30% Canadian, and then we'll have some students from like the UK and Australia. However, the call times like probably aren't going to make sense for somebody in Portugal. And I don't know what your personal financial systems are. Like the overall strategies will still work in terms of diversifying and, investments and how to manage your money and your money mindset and those kind of things. But when it comes to, the name of your accounts or the name of your banks or any of that kind of stuff, I don't personally know those things. However, we do have a membership option. And this is what I typically recommend for like our international students. It's $19 a month. It's $19 a month. And basically it's like a backstage pass. So you get to watch our coaching calls. They're recorded. Everybody is like blocked out except for me. So you don't get to like see who anybody else is, but you can learn from their scenarios and you basically get coaching from me, but like a backstage pass on what the other coaching calls have been. Amazing. Okay, we have been on here for over an hour and a bit. So Annie, thank you so much for staying on with me for so long. And
Oh, please. This was fun. Thank you so much for having me.
I appreciate you so much, and your story has been so freaking inspirational, and I just appreciate how candid you've been, and I love seeing your growth, and I cannot wait to have you back in the group and in the program. I'm just so excited to work with you again.
I mean, sky's the limit. I hope I reach to one person on this live. Like seriously, like please try the program. I cannot tell you enough. It changed my life. No, she doesn't pay me to say this. I love money, but no, I mean really, I went from being nearly homeless to running a successful multi six-figure company in such a short period of time. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. And I wish everybody this much success. So please, if you're thinking about doing it, please do it.
You're so sweet. It's so funny. I have to say this one last thing because I'm like, I share like these wins. Like I'll get all these amazing DMs or like our Facebook group or stuff, or we'll come on these and like I don't tell you what to say. I just tell you that I want to talk to you. And but I'm like, I feel like people are gonna think I'm telling you what to say. Like telling my I'm like, oh,
No.
it's amazing thing that they said about me. Isn't it so nice? Like goodness, but thank you again. I'm gonna log off because I'm literally dripping sweat over here and it's disgusting. But thank you, Annie. I can't wait to have you in the program. Again, if you guys have any questions, support at nobudgetbabe.com. Love you all.
All right.
Bye, Annie.
Bye.
Bye.